The following is a presentation of the Eagles Sports Network.
Hello and welcome in to episode number 4 of Coaches in Cars Getting Coffee. I'm the voice of the Eagles, Adam Cavalier. Today we welcome into the passenger seat Carson-Newman's defensive coordinator and defensive backs coach, Larry Slade. Larry, it's coffee time. It's break time from practice.
Appreciate it.
And, we're, for a lot of these positions, talking growth. And I think about last year's defensive backs, and I think about your first year as defensive coordinator and DB's coach back all the way back in 2016. And I hope the comparisons continue. You had a youthful secondary in 2016, but 2 future All-Americans and 4 future 40-game starters. Can you draw comparisons? A Darius Williams, who's playing professionally, a Desmond Farrell, a consensus All-American, to the hopeful prospects of a Jackson Ward, a Callum Clements, a Jalen Anderson, and the current crop of guys in the defensive backfield?
Well, first thing I'll say this is we have a very competitive group. When you look at it, it's like light years difference from last year. We got guys that can play, and starting with Major Williams, he's an outstanding player, outstanding leader. We're playing him, and believe it or not, he's getting challenged by Callum Clemens, who played last year, got a lot of experience last year. He's healthy right now. He's playing really well at the strong safety. You got Jet Jones really playing well, and he's challenged by Cameron Henson. So, I mean, the expression, if you leave your glove on the mound, someone's going to take it, is really meaningful now. And then, well, it's the same thing out there with the corners. Jalen Anderson is really good. Ward is really good. Jack is really good. Kendall Williams is outstanding. Got a lot of reps last year. And then the guy that's really coming now, Champ Baker. Champ is in that group that's really competing, not just for playing time, but even the possibility of start. And so it's a great group when you start talking about the secondary as far as their work ethic, their communication skills, and their playmaking ability. You know,
it's crazy just to hear you rattle off the names, and we've seen them in practice, but the depth that you have compared to last year, injuries really bit the secondary hard. I think at the Barton game, and no knock on the guy, Austin Greer had played sporadically throughout his time at Carson-Newman, and when thrust into the starting role, did some good things, but also had some miscues that were true of somebody that was thrust into a starting role unexpectedly. But to hear the amount of depth that you rattle off, it feels like you're playing with a bit of a stronger deck.
We're playing with a group of kids, that again are good people, play hard, practice hard. And I'm not going to take away from that last year's group. I thought they did the very best that they could do. They tried hard, but this is another year. And this group right here is who I choose to really zero in on. And they're not perfect now, don't get me wrong, but and we got a ways to go, but we're certainly making a lot of progress.
You touched on Major Williams, UVA transfer, spent some time with the Cavaliers. What sticks out to you about his skill set? When you list off those names, he was the first one out of your mouth.
Well, he's the guy that he can do it all. I mean, he's great, change directions. He got real good size, great speed, and then he's just a quality guy, quality person that's constantly trying to get better. He's just one of those guys. See, we kind of put our guys in a group like colors, for example, and we'll have a group that if a guy is labeled or he's like a red, and that would be a Major Williams. That's a guy that can play every down, got the possibility of maybe being an All-American. Some opportunities could happen to him after he finishes here. All right, and then you have a group of guys that are in the blue. All right, those guys can go play. They're going to be guaranteed time to play to get in the game. All right, and then you got a group of guys that are green, and they're going to only play if it's a disaster. And so right now, I would say that we have at least one red, and we have a lot of blues that are trying to get to that position. And unlike a year ago, and again, a year ago we had greens that had to play.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. It's coffee time. Yeah. What's your go-to? Where are you going here?
Just a small coffee with cream and two sweet and lows.
Okay. Hot or iced?
Hot.
Small coffee with a little bit of cream and 2 sweet and lows. And then let me get a large iced mocha, please. That's it for me. $7.96. Thank you. You know, you're the first one to go with a hot coffee.
That's all right. I'm not a big coffee guy, you know. But and then I know sometimes hot chocolate, but I'll do maybe a cup a day or a cup every 2 days. Yeah.
See, that's what we have Johnson Jameson.
Oh yeah.
Who comes in here, goes for the large iced, which I'm fine with that. Drinks half of it and then empties a bang into it. And I mean, here you are. You've been around the block a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what good, clean living gets you. I mean, you can go out and jog 2 miles just on the cup of coffee a day, Johnson. I think we have an interesting study based on caffeine consumption in this thing.
That hyper.
So just a simple, a little cream, a little sweet.
Yep.
And got to be hot.
Yeah.
Got to be hot. Interesting. Even in the summer, you're not going ice.
In the summer, but I'm not drinking it during the day. Like right now, I'm not drinking coffee. I might hit it in the morning. I'll stop at McDonald's and get a breakfast biscuit and small cup of coffee.
And you're good.
I'm good.
You're good.
I'm good to go.
The color system's fascinating.
Yeah.
How much about that has changed from the time that you? Let's go back to you at Shepherd in the 70s playing.
Yeah.
What would it take to be a red now versus when you were suiting up?
Well, I think the same thing, regardless of time. You got those guys that are just outstanding athletes, and they're just maybe a little bit above. Those guys are making plays all over the field. They're just guys that you kind of want on the field every snap. And then you'll have a group of guys that are really good, and they're going to be guys that maybe they don't play every down, but they're going to play. I've had a few times in my career. I had at Tennessee one year, I think I had 4 reds, and that's really unusual. Okay, where you got that
Thank you.
The Jabari Greers and the
Here's a hot coffee.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And Eric Berry's, those guys.
Multi-year pros.
But the majority of the times, you maybe got 1 or 2 reds. Hopefully you got a red in there. Now this is the interesting thing about this. We did it as a staff, and we did our whole defense. And when you compare this defense with last year, there were so many guys that were in the blue. I mean, it's like, wow. It was refreshing. We're sitting there, and so there are a lot more guys on this year's defense that's got a chance to play, to get in the game you feel good about, versus where we were last year.
I think schematically about your defenses over the years, and even I think about 2016, which I think in the media day following, you said something along the lines of, this is going to improve, this is going to be better. But that's no knock on 2016's defense. Right. They did what they could. And I get a similar mindset from what you're saying now. How much of that is owed just stylistically to the capability to stop the run? Something that feels like Carson-Newman defensively, since you got here, has always been toward the upper echelons, not only in the SAC but nationwide.
Well, I think you build your defense that way to start, and then because the kids will tell you, they'll have a little chant sometimes. It's like stop the run and have some fun, and so now I get that run stopped, and now we can get to be really exotic, because if they was up to them, they blitz every down, But the big deal is to really be good fundamentally, and to where you're stopping the run and you go and you make teams one-dimensional. And this team this group appears to be that kind of group that can do that. And it is about people. When you take you look at a Darius Williams and you look at a Desmond Farrell, my goodness, there are some things that you can do that maybe you can't do if you don't have those guys. And so I think that sometimes coaches might not want to hear this, but sometimes coaching's overrated. Okay? If you got the right guys, you don't care what kind of system you play. I mean, when we won the national championship at Washington, I believe we could have gone out there and played any style of defense and still won. But the big thing, though, is like with this group, you got good players, but you just got to keep getting their best. It becomes chemistry. It comes how well they play together, how well they care about each other, fight for each other and all of that. And in this group right here, they're coming along. They're getting closer and closer together. And not just the defense, but the team.
You touched on some names, Major Williams being a newcomer. Who's somebody else that, wasn't here last year or redshirted last year that Carson-Newman fans should be on the lookout for in 2022?
Well, I think that redshirted last year. They played, man. I look at a Callum Clemens who was forced to play and should have been redshirted. I'll tell you, a guy that really fits that defensively would be David Alexander. Was redshirted, but he is, man. And you go back on it and you say, well, I wish we had played. Hey, the best thing to happen is that he redshirted, and he's a good football player. Let's put it like that. So he stands out like that. And it's just that there were so many guys that went out there last year for the first time that are back, that are going to be good football players. All of this, when you start looking at the Kendall Williams and the Jackson Wards and all those guys, it's the first time they touched the field last year. And so obviously they're much better with experience.
Larry Slade,
well,
we're back at the KSAC.
Okay,
Pleasure.
man.
I'm
going to enjoy my coffee.
Yeah.
All right.
That's Carson-Newman's defensive coordinator, Larry Slade. And the voice of the Eagles, Adam Cavalier. This has been another episode of Coaches in Cars
All right.
Getting Coffee.
Thank you.